The darkness of the night holds secrets that no one dares to uncover. But sometimes, in the deepest shadows, truth whispers louder than any voice could. Have you ever wondered what happens when the night falls and the world sleeps, leaving behind nothing but the eerie silence and the unanswered questions of life? Here are you watching from? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories, or please complete our 1,000 subscribers as growing. It was a night just like any other, when Arif sat on the balcony of his small apartment in the city, staring at the vast, empty streets below. The soft hum of distant traffic was the only sound that filled the air. Yet, inside him, the noise was deafening. His life had been a constant struggle, an endless series of decisions that had led him nowhere. A man of few words, Arif had always been a quiet observer of life, never really participating, just watching it pass by. But tonight was different. As the moonlight bathed the streets, something stirred inside him. He couldn't explain it, but a deep sense of unease gripped him. He had lived this routine for years, but there was always that feeling, that nagging feeling, that something was missing. A memory lingered in the back of his mind, a shadow from the past that he had long buried, yet tonight it felt closer than ever. Years ago, Arif had lost someone he loved dearly, his younger sister, Roshni. A tragic accident had taken her life, and the grief he had felt back then had never truly left him. He had buried his emotions, built walls around his heart, and moved on. Or at least, that's what he convinced himself. But tonight, those walls seemed to crack. Arif closed his eyes, and for a moment, the world around him disappeared. He was no longer sitting in his apartment. He was back in his childhood home, standing in the hallway, hearing Roshni's laughter echoing through the house. He could see her bright smile, feel the warmth of her presence, as if she were still there beside him. But then, the memory shifted. The laughter faded, and everything turned dark. He saw himself, standing helplessly at the scene of the accident, unable to save her. The flash of headlights, the screeching tires, and then, nothing. Just an endless void. Arif's breath quickened as the panic set in. He shook his head, trying to pull himself out of the memory, but the pain was unbearable. He had spent years running from this, but now it was as if the night had brought everything back to the surface. But what was this? The whispers grew louder. A voice, soft yet persistent, calling his name. Arif! Arif! He turned, but no one was there. The voice wasn't real. It was in his mind. Yet the more he listened, the clearer it became. The voice was coming from the darkness. Arif stood frozen, not knowing what to do. His heart pounded in his chest, and a cold sweat formed on his forehead. Arif, you have to let go. The voice was familiar. It was Roshni's voice. Tears welled up in Arif's eyes as he looked around in desperation. Roshni? He whispered, barely believing it himself. Is it really you? For a moment, there was silence. Then, in the distance, Arif saw a figure emerge from the darkness. A soft glow surrounded it, and as it stepped closer, Arif could see her face, Roshni, exactly as she had been before the accident. She was smiling at him, but it wasn't the same smile he remembered. This one was peaceful, almost knowing. Roshni? Arif breathed, his voice trembling. She reached out to him, and though he was terrified, he felt an overwhelming sense of peace wash over him. I've been waiting for you, Arif, she said gently. All this time, you've been running from me, running from your pain, but it's time to face it now. Arif felt a lump form in his throat. I'm so sorry, Roshni, he whispered, the guilt choking him. I couldn't save you. I wasn't there for you when you needed me most. Roshni's smile softened. It wasn't your fault, Arif. You didn't cause what happened. But you've been punishing yourself for so long that you've lost sight of who you are. You've spent years living in the dark, thinking that if you just shut it all out, the pain would go away. Tears streamed down Arif's face as the weight of her words hit him. He had tried to ignore the pain, tried to outrun it, but it was always there, waiting to catch up. Tonight, it finally had. You have to let go, Arif, Roshni said, her voice now soft and soothing. You have to forgive yourself. Only then will you find the peace you've been searching for. Arif swallowed hard, his chest tight. The darkness around him felt less threatening now, less suffocating. He looked into Roshni's eyes, and for the first time in years, he felt a glimmer of hope. I'll try, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I promise, I'll try. With that, the figure of Roshni began to fade, her smile lingering in the air as the darkness once again took hold. But this time, it didn't feel so empty. The silence was no longer a void, it was a space for healing. Arif stood up from his balcony, the night no longer an enemy. He felt different, as though a weight had been lifted from his heart. The past was still there, but he had learned to carry it with grace. The night, the shadows, the whispers, none of it had power over him anymore. And as he took a deep breath, the first light of dawn began to break through the horizon. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to stay updated with more stories like this. Thank you for watching.